Today we are at the farmer's market. It's here every day in the summertime in Pickerington, Ohio. And I'm just coming here to get a candy onion for my seafood boil. Yep, and this is what we came for. But they have everything.
No, you're fine.
We're gonna check them out.
I don't either, but they're crunchier. I like them because they're crunchy. I put
This one
vinegar
looks
and
really
sugar
good.
water. Do you ever do that?
That's our winner. There's one of the workers, and there's one of the workers.
Yes. It's $125 each.
And one right there. And I'm getting ready to purchase my candy onion. Hey everyone, this is Leanna and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making a seafood boil. I thought that I would make them so that I can make them to go. So we'll do separate sauces. So I'll have just butter, and then I'll also have a Cajun sauce to go on it. And that way my grown kids can pick up a seafood boil bag after work. They won't have to worry about cooking tonight or anything. So that's just some of the stuff I do to give them a night off, you know, so they can just sit and relax. They're all going to stop by. So if you want to join me, we're going to go ahead and start with the water. And I already cut up the corns. I cut them up in these little pieces right here. And then I got these little potatoes at the farmer's market. And all I did, I'll be right back. There. All I did with these, just to get more flavor into them as they boil, is I did poke them so that, you know, the seasonings that I put in the water to boil the corn and the potatoes soak in a little bit better. And then normally I would start with the potatoes and then put the corn in, but these are little baby potatoes instead of big potatoes that I'll be, you know, cutting in half. Since they're little, I think they're going to cook about the same amount of time. So that's what we're going to do, is put these in the water. I bought a candy onion, so it's a little sweet, and then that way it'll sweeten up the corn a little bit. Instead of using a yellow onion for the corn and potatoes, I'm going to use this candy onion. The local farmer's market that I went to had these. I've never used these before, but I did read that they're really good to use for a seafood boil. So we're just going to cut this up and put this at the bottom of the water while it boils. I'm going to use half of it, and then I'll use the other half for the seafood sauce. Okay, so I cut up half of the candy onion, and I just put them in wedges since we're just using them for flavor. And I'm just going to dump them in the water, like so. I'm also, just to boil the corn and the potatoes, I want a little bit of buttery flavor cooking with them. I'm going to use 1 stick of butter. So we know Old Bay seasoning goes really good with all seafood, especially a seafood boil. So we're going to use maybe a couple of tablespoons of Old Bay. I think that's pretty good. I'm also going to use a little bit of this Cajun. It's called Ragin' Cajun, all-purpose. So it's like all-purpose. And maybe a tablespoon of that. Next, we're going to work on one of the sauces that we'll be able to pour on the side. And if you're cooking for multiple people, you want to double this recipe or triple it, just so you know, for a normal group, 3 to 4, you're going to do 1 cup of butter. That's a half a cup right there. I bought a lot of sticks of butter, but I'm just going to show you one serving. We got our 1 cup of butter going there. Okay, and for the Cajun sauce that I'm going to do, I also roasted some garlic. So we're just going to do this whole clove. You just squeeze it right out of there. It's just going to give it a little bit more in-depth flavoring. I have some more cloves over there roasted, but I just squished it till there's nothing else in there. Okay, guys. Does anybody think that you can have too much garlic? I don't think so. I'm trying something new today. I did the roasted garlic. I did a whole head of garlic, and normally I would do 8 cloves just in this serving for my Cajun seasoning of just the fresh. So I put a whole head of roasted, and so I'm going to tone down the fresh to 4 cloves of garlic. But I want to see, you know, if this gives a little bit more savory of a kick. So let's do that. I am also just like a 1/4 of that candy onion. I'm going to put in the sauce as well. At the end, I'll probably take it out because no one really likes onion like chunks in their sauce. So this is just going to flavor it. We're going to put about a tablespoon of Old Bay in here. Ooh, hot. That's about a tablespoon. And then we're going to use this Ragin' Cajun, about a tablespoon of it as well. I think that was about a tablespoon. We'll do a taste test at the end to see if anything else needs to be added. Okay, so we're going to do about 3/4 of a tablespoon of this lemon stepper. And quite frankly, once I got it home, my daughter noticed on the back, it looks like Cedric the Entertainer and Anthony, what did you say his last name was? Hamilton?
Anderson.
Oh, Anderson. So Anthony Anderson. So I think maybe it's their seasoning because I'm pretty sure that's them on the back of there. I didn't notice when I picked it up. I just liked the way the seasonings looked in there. So we're going to put, I don't know. So I think that's maybe 3/4 there. And you can't have a good seafood sauce without some fresh lemon juice. So I'm gonna put, that's about a tablespoon. Just using what's in my cabinet. I'm gonna use some cayenne pepper, maybe like a teaspoon, and then also the same for paprika. Cayenne first. Might put a little bit too much in there, but that's okay. I can always add more sauce, like more butter. And then I didn't open the paprika yet, so that's happening right now. And just put a little, that's maybe like 3/4 of a teaspoon. And so far that's what we've got in there. going to turn down the potatoes and corn. I'm actually going to check them in a few minutes. I think they're ready, but we're still working on the sauce. Just a couple of dashes of this red pepper flakes, you know, just to add a little heat. As this starts to melt, we're going to go ahead and make sure we stir it. And also, when you make a lot of this at once, you literally can wait till it cools and put some of this in one of those freezer bags and freeze your seafood boil sauce. That way you won't have to worry about making it in the future. You'll have it ready, and all you have to do is like steam your meat. So you can maybe make enough that you could freeze like 4 bags of it. Just wanted you to see what that's looking like. Those potatoes and corns with all the seasoning in there. And then that's our sauce brewing. And then just keep in mind that some people just don't want the Cajun sauce on there. They just want it plain with butter, drawn butter. So I'm just going to do butter with a little bit of lemon in another one. And then they can pour the sauce on themselves. Instead of me cooking it directly in the sauce, they'll be able to pour the sauce on. And I can quickly, in 5 minutes, if I run out of sauce, just make some more, you know. Or I don't have any frozen right now, but I would do that, so. This is going to be so good. Okay, so my Cajun sauce is done. It looks amazing. I took the onion out, and then I'm getting ready to add in some parsley just for a pop of color. This is just my hands-on parsley here. I'm going to add some in. I'd say about 1/4 of a cup for this. Let's see. Let's see what it looks like first. So maybe just a little bit more, not quite a 1/2 cup, but just a little more to add some flavor, some color in there. Look at that. I thought I'd get a spoon so we could really get a good look at that. And trust me, I tasted it off camera. It's amazing. I'm gonna just slice some andouille sausage, and then we're just gonna sear it. Okay, so we got the andouille sausage searing. Okay, so you're ready to pop open the crab legs. I got these from Aldi's, and this is where I always get my crab legs, unless I see something like a king crab or something that I want from Costco. But these were $23.99. They used to be like $17, but you know, with all the price hikes and everything, but they're still, you know, cheaper than most places. And their quality, they're really good. I've had these several times. And let's just see how many crab clusters we get in here. Oh, it's very frozen, but typically there's about 4 in here. We're going to do our crab first. And I went ahead, I'm using the same sauce that I used for to boil the corn and potatoes. And I got my little steamer bucket in here. And I'll separate these a little bit more once they're not so frozen, but I literally put them in there frozen. And there's, yeah, 4 clusters right in there. There. And we're just gonna let this steam up, and then I'll put my shrimp in there. So what I use at the end, so that people can have their own individual and put their own individual sauce in, I'll use these Reynolds kitchen bags that I normally bake turkeys in. And you can actually put your seafood boil in the oven and bake it that way, you know, with these bags. They're pretty much seafood boil bags. So since I always have these in handy, this is what, when someone comes to pick them up, that's what they'll go in. But I'm not going to show you that put in there. I'm just going to plate them. So the crab legs are done. I'm just going to put them on top of the potatoes for now. Almost lost one. Okay, so now we're ready to add the shrimp. I would normally do it all together, I just didn't have a lot of room this time. I'm only doing enough as people arrive. I added the shrimp, and then I got one more thing just for me. Nobody else wanted lobster but me, so I just got me a little lobster. I cut it in half, and if it needed deveined, I went ahead and did that. And I'm just going to plop them in there with the shrimp. And let that cook up. So I already boiled my eggs. I'm just going to plop them in here with the shrimp and lobster. And just let them soak up some of that juice. And then come back in a few minutes. Okay guys, so my seafood boil is done. I didn't show you the ones in the seafood boil bags yet, but we'll probably do another day of just seafood bags, and it'll be delicious. So until next time, thank you.